idea of going back and rewriting, is that what you're talking to a moment ago when you said, like, my kids pointed this out?
Oh, absolutely. I had to rewrite my story before I could coach people on rewriting theirs.
Yeah. Welcome to today's episode of the Dark Work Podcast. Our actual amazing guest is a guy named Craig Domann. Now, Craig is a guy that I've known for, 17, 18 years now. He actually used to be my age when I played in the NFL. Today's episode is fun for me because I got to hear more about the story of a man that I'd actually had known for years but didn't know the depths of it. But I think it's going to be beautiful for you to actually unpack as well, mostly because you're going to hear the humanity within him, which is what we all need to connect to. Finding out how he navigated parts of his marriage, being a father, while also looking at this amazing world he operates in, which is as an NFL agent, which is a cool world people want to enter into, but don't always know the backsides of it. But here's what I'll tell you. Although you see this area of this cool world he works in, truthfully, there's a lot of humanity that we all experience on the backside, and he does that and is that person. And what he has gone through and he's experienced allows you to extract some cool things to put into your life. We talk about essentially what parachute might be holding you back and exactly how you can go through some steps to cut the parachute off so you can run faster. How you can understand the separation between your self-worth and your net worth, which is a really big piece. And for me, one of the things that I really think is going to be beneficial for you is diving into the story that he talks about when he uncovers really his journey through plant medicine, which is not what you typically hear when you think about people that are in the sports world. But going through like a plant journey allowed him to uncover parts of himself that were hidden and dormant that allowed him to become a great father, even better at the world of work he does, but also to create something that the world needs right now, which is called pro mindset. So without further ado, let's hop into the episode. Hey, welcome to the Dark Work Podcast. We are now here joined by Craig Domann. Man, Craig, how you doing?
Great. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing well. I'm right into the episode, huh? Just so you guys know, like,
let's jump in, baby.
We jump right into the whole conversation and flow. And they've also, if you guys did your work, what you should have done is gone and listened to episode 1, so you understand what you're going to be able to get out of these episodes that you kind of go through. So we'll dive in and kind of rock and roll. But those of you guys who may not know, Craig is a guy that I've known for 15-ish years now. I've known you since longer than I've had my twins around. So when I had the blessed opportunity to play in the NFL, Craig was one of my agents and was there when I went through the ups and downs. When I wanted to quit at one point in time too, because that happened. It's craziness. But the cool thing is, over the years, we've had this great just kind of growth, I think, together would be the best way. He's gone through, I've been to his house every year for like the last, 14 years, I want to say, and deep conversation and growth, but there's always parts of a human you don't know, and so I'm looking forward to unpacking a lot of these parts that I may not already know, because I know a lot of them are fairly recent, we'll call it. So as we go through this, man, I'm excited to that. So let's just dive into this. I want people in the beginning to know who you are. We'll call it this, why people should listen to you, right? So for you, what's like we'll call it, if you want to be as boastful as possible, what's the brightest parts of your life? Or like, what have you experienced that's the cool stuff that most people go like, holy crap, you did that? Like, I want to have people get a feel for like what you've actually done and the level of human you are.
That's a great question. I would say that the first thing is I've been a dream guide for NFL players for 30 years. And when you're a dream guide, you kind of know what's going to happen. You know the future. You know beyond the horizon the things that they can't see that you can see. Sometimes you can see the end of a player's career before they can even see it. And so I learned so much. When you're a guide, you learn more than you teach. Yeah. And I pass that on to my kids. And so my wife and I have always been dreamers, and we've wanted our kids to dream and chase their dream and go for it. And I think that the moment, those like goosebump moments, would be like when you're in an NFL stadium and your own son's on the field.
Yeah, it's gotta be cool. Yeah.
Or you're in a college stadium, Power 5 school, and your son is starting at quarterback. Those are like aha moments, like, dang, my guys were rugrats, never thought they would do it.
Yeah, I get that. Well, it's different. My son obviously goes and play football. He's a track guy, which which is fun still. It's a blast to watch him do his thing, but it is interesting to like when he does poorly, I feel it, like almost like it's me out there. It's kind of, I'm still battling that and navigating it because I know what I would do, right? But he's also a man like doing his own thing. When you're out there, as much as it's like cool to see, we'll call those amazing things, do you ever like trickle it back to you and like proud of what you've done? Because kids don't get to that level accidentally. There's a big piece of it that it comes from mom and dad.
A little bit of that, but I do think they have so many choices, and it doesn't matter if you show your kids the way, they don't always choose that way. So I really do give all three of my kids, I have a daughter too, them the credit for taking the hard road. I mean, they didn't take the easy way. Making it to college sports is hard. Your son, what he's doing is hard.
Yeah.
It's probably harder than you guys realize sometimes.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right? Those dark moments that he has. Track meets, football games are like the shining moments.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moments where they just want to, like, probably deep down, want to quit.
Oh yeah, I've had him.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations with him. There's actually, it's funny you say that, because this last winter break, he would call me more than his mom, because mom is baby, right? But like, she doesn't really help him out of it sometimes. It's more of like, just, I was just like, there's no specific answer, son. I was just talking about this today with the crew. I was like, I told him at some points, it has to be hard. I'm like, take a deep breath each morning, take it hour by hour if you have to, reset your mind every 30 minutes, like, but you got to lean in. But he got through the winter break, and like the last day at practice, he's like, Dad, if it had been one more day, I'd have been done. He's like, I got through it all, but then he's stronger, and there's more pride, and I think that's a big piece of it. But I do know it's hard. But he wants to play football too, he says. He goes, Dad,
does he?
And one of his teammates, he goes, hey, don't play football. He's like, I like you, don't do that. It's like, it's harder than you actually think, which is part of it. But that's cool to like see the kids and everything, but you've also had professional success, right? You've worked with a bunch of big names, you've done a bunch of stuff all over the world. Who are some of the and I don't want to like, I'm not saying like name drop per se, but when you look at some of the things you've accomplished, have there ever been like pinch myself moments of like, holy crap, like I'm actually working with this human before?
Every time one of your guys is in a big moment or a big game, and literally 10 minutes, 20 minutes after the game, you're having a conversation with them outside the locker room at the stadium, or you're talking to one of your guys on the phone after he's played in a big game, it is kind of a pincher time moment where you're watching this guy on TV, and then you're seeing the vulnerability of his life and the struggles that he has, the accomplishments that he has too. But you kind of live or die by their roller coaster ride that they're on, being a professional athlete. And I think that the general public sees those shining moments. And every now and then you want to kick or miss as a game-winning field goal, a quarterback throws a pick six to lose a game. Everybody realizes there's, valley moments too, but these guys are real people. You're a real person. When you played, you're a real person with real challenges, real identity issues, real like trying to figure out why you do what you do, all those types of things that all of us deal with on a day-to-day basis, athletes do too.
Yep, I agree, man. There's a lot of things that nobody talks about or hears about. At the same time, people are looking at these humans, we're like they put them on pedestals, and I go, that dude's kind of a schmuck. You're not gonna say it out in public, obviously. It's just, but they're people. That's kind of the thing, and I don't know if it's been a good or bad thing for me, because as I progress into my career now of what I do, I don't have that same like this. I'm not enamored by these humans. I'm like, it's a dude or it's a woman, and they do their thing, and great deal of respect for the accomplishments for sure. But like, I'm not gonna go out there and like drink their bathwater. Some people are different tangent of humanity. I'm like, that's craziness. So you've done these cool things, right? You've ascended this level, but I know that there's a path to all of us, and that's really where I want to go with our discussion, is unpacking the journey to getting to that level. Because you don't just go, I want to be in sports management, all of a sudden you're the guy, right? So was there a time in your past when you were kind of working through life and going, man, it'd be cool to do what it is you're now doing?
Absolutely. When I got out of college, I played college football, and I kind of had a car crash moment in college football where I was on the scout team, and the head coach was frustrated with the offense and their execution of the plays, and he made them do it like 4 times. And the players were getting pissed that they had to run it 4 times. So each time there's a little bit more effort and a little bit more frustration by the offense, and I was going against the fullback. And he ended up playing in the NFL about 7 years, and I think I got 3 concussions in 1 practice. And that was a moment where my football love was tested, and I knew that football was not going to be in my future as a player. And so I put my efforts towards academics, got an accounting degree, a CPA. I'm sitting in a cube in a Big 8 accounting firm, and bored out of my mind, working for a person that didn't understand me. And my most enjoyable moments were playing basketball at lunch with the guys, playing on the company softball team in the summers, and hitting the golf course on Saturday mornings with my friends from work. And I knew that the love of sport had to be a part of my future. And so went to law school, looked into being an athletic director track or being an agent, got into the agent business, And I was able to support, guide, coach, mentor young men who had probably the same dream I have, but they have more ability than I had. And that's where my passion came from, was helping other people achieve their dreams in something that they were passionate about.
That's good. What was the areas, because I always look at this, like I hear these stories, this is kind of why this whole thing exists podcast-wise, and I go, I did this, and I tried this, and I go, there's got to be some craziness that happened here. Because I know it's one thing to go, I'm in this cubicle enjoying this whole thing, and then you had to branch out and try something new. That likely someone who was sitting in that cubicle next to you, they are still in the cubicle. Like it's a possibility, they're still sitting there doing the
Absolutely.
same job. So what was the thing that took you out of it? Because there had to have been some apprehension, maybe some people telling you, oh, it's not very wise, Craig, you shouldn't do that. Like, did you have people, or like even the inner voice that was questioning the next step?
Well, I can remember I had a prestigious clerkship one summer while I was in law school.
Yeah.
And the managing lawyer, the general partner, asked me what I was going to do. And I told him I was going to represent athletes when I got out of law school. And his response was, you're going to be a professional babysitter. And I was like, wow, that hit me hard, because I'm like, he had no respect for what I was going to do. But I think that I didn't care what other people thought. I grew up in the country where every day was a different day. My family was in the agricultural business, and honestly, every day was a new day, and you didn't know what you were going to do. I loved that variety, that spontaneity, and when you're living in a cube, working in a cube, you don't get that. You get a file on your desk, and it's very mundane. And in working with athletes, you get that excitement, you get that purpose,
Nuance to it.
To like, you know what? Hey, 1 minute the guy's going to run at the combine. The next minute he tweaks his hamstring, and I'm giving him counsel not to run at the combine. And 1 minute I'm saying, it's like the whole journey of an NFL player has so many twists and turns, as you know, that it's very spicy, because every day's a new day.
Yeah. You ever had people like not happy with the decision you made? You ever like some hard? So I'm assuming that it's got to be somewhere in the background. You're helping guys make choices, right? So I know there's definitely, I can't think of anything that I had as an issue, but you ever had like someone come back to you like fired up, like, you told me to do this, Craig, and this would happen, it was a negative thing?
I would say that I've had many situations where the player knew better than I did, because they've got the inside track, and I would give them the latitude to decide, hey, possibly pursue this, but maybe do this. So what I did over a period of time was I got very smart, because I would learn from my athletes. Sometimes these guys that are in the fire understand what's really going on more than the people on the outside. And so sometimes an unconventional avenue is actually the best way to go, even though it might not make any sense to somebody on the outside. So I would collect that wisdom, and over time pass it on to my future clients and to my kids.
That's a good place to put it, right? All the future clients and the kids.
Yeah.
So what was a moment that kind of gave you, there's always those catalyst moments, right? So like, this is all like, we're going to a place I want to get to for sure, but I want to make sure we don't miss anything along the way, because there's parts of this, right, where I go, okay, you decided to step into this, you have those moments in the beginning. My guess is those moments probably took place more earlier on than later on, right? What was the thing that made you get up and go, though? Because my thing I know with a lot of people that I work with, I'm sure you work with, there's these aspirations, big dreamers, right? And they set out, they launch, they start moving at some point, but then what happens is they get confronted with a situation that becomes the one that it's a sink or swim, and they will get stuck behind it for a lifetime, or they'll move past it. But there's usually a drive behind why they'll push past. Was there some drive behind you? Was there something like you had to succeed? Was there like a family draw? Was just a big, like, what was the thing that made you move when a lot of people typically wouldn't move?
That's really easy. I think it's happened in the last 10 years, and that is the idea that you get so much wisdom. You understand the business inside and out. You can almost predict. I was as good as a scout in determining whether a player might end up being a success or not. And my business and livelihood depended on that. But when my kids, my boys, stopped listening to me, when I had the answers to the test,
I got that now.
They wouldn't listen. I knew I had a problem, because I knew what was coming. I knew what was behind the door. They couldn't see through the door. I knew what was on the other side of the door. That was my moment of shifting, from the standpoint that I realized that I was talking the talk but not walking the walk. And I wanted to write a book, and my boys were like, "You're not ready to write a book." I'm like, "Why am I not ready to write a book? I know all this stuff." Because you're not doing it. Why don't you do it to see if it actually works before you write the book? So that was the apex moment.
And this, so we might as well dive into it too a little bit, and like at least open the conversation. But your work is, it was called Pro Mindset.
Yep.
Do you mind sharing what you would call Pro Mindset? If I met you in passing or something, and you said, "I do Pro Mindset," what would you describe that as?
I think the simplest way is that, do you want to be your best in your biggest moments?
Yes.
When it really matters, do you want to rock? And if that's what Pro Mindset is, it's the embodiment of your story, your standard, how you do things, and can you win on stage? And at the end of the day, we all have stages. We're on a stage right now.
Yep.
But everybody watching, everybody listening, they're on a stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're on multiple stages every day. We're on a stage at home.
Yep.
We're on a stage at work. And do you have a standard that is higher than the people around you? So as an athlete, do you have a standard that's higher than the coach has for you? If you have a higher standard than the coach has for you, you never have to worry about what the coach is asking or what he's expecting. And then your story is the thing that, and this is not a linear system or framework, it's more of a circle, because you rewrite your story, you up-level your standards, and then you perform on stage and you fail.
Happens.
Then you got to go back and recheck your story and reevaluate your systems and your standards. And so that's kind of what Pro Mindset is.
Is that what, so that idea of going back and rewriting, is that what you're talking to a moment ago when you said, like, my kids pointed this out?
Oh, absolutely. I had to rewrite my story before I could coach people on rewriting theirs.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I tell you, people, you have to cross the finish line before you tell people how to run the race.
Yes.
That's a big piece of it all. So what was that journey like? Did you have a plan in place? Did you kind of like just go like, all right? Because when somebody presents us with an area that goes, hey, you're lacking here, we're not always given the pathway, we're just given the problem. So what did you do from that moment?
I didn't have a plan initially because I didn't know I needed a plan, because I was in denial that I had a problem and that I was a hypocrite, until I started realizing that I was doing what players do. Players are always looking for easy and comfortable. Okay?
Yeah.
They're looking for cut lines.
All of us are, though.
All of us are.
Yeah.
Players especially, but everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the nice car with the heated seats and the cooling seats and all the conveniences.
Yeah, right.
Right? And I thought I could flip the switch when things got hard, and I couldn't flip the switch. I lost my willpower. I woke up one day and I was like, where in the heck did my willpower go? It was gone.
Yeah.
So I would literally not be able to do what I set out to do at the gym. You know, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to work out for an hour. After 40 minutes, I'm like, I'm done. I'm checking out.
Physically or just mentally?
Both.
Oh, wow.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done enough.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know, right?
Yeah.
So I started not being authentic with myself.
Yeah.
I realized that I was quitting on my own dreams. And it forced me to have a plan. And I think what is the driver is the motivation to be respected, the motivation to do it myself before I teach someone else how to do it. And my whole identity that's wrapped up into Pro Mindset would be a fraud if I didn't.
Now, for the person who is not trying to do it for somebody else, because you said I got to do it for myself before I do it for others, right? What if the drive isn't for others? Because oftentimes people aren't trying to go and lead for other people, right? They're trying to just lead for themselves. What would you say to the person who needs to just do it for themselves?
I would say that first and foremost, reflect on the last big moment you had that you didn't perform or achieve what you were hoping to. Look for that last disappointment and look for the reason why. And then go before that, because once you have one and you take that off the table, another one's going to drop into your mind, and you're going to have another one. And then you're going to have these, basically a pile of trash, which is all your failures, your mistakes, your regrets, your disappointments. And go, what's the common thread? It's always you.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do it for you. So if we all look back at our past and look at why we didn't get what we wanted, why we didn't kill it when we needed it. It might be a job interview. You get that, hey, you finished second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in life finishing second is like finishing last. Okay? In recruiting athletes, if you don't sign them and you finish second,
doesn't matter.
No business.
Yeah.
Okay?
I get it.
So really what it is for all of us individually is an honest assessment of your performance history and pinpointing what are the reasons why you weren't successful.
Now, that's hard to do though, man, because then you have to actually poke a hole in your own little ego.
Absolutely.
It's harder than other people doing it, I think. Sometimes just having like sit with yourself, like your dark thoughts, like that's a crazy place to be. Did you actually have to do that?
Well, I was challenged by my boys to do a plant ceremony.
Okay.
And so a couple years ago, went down to Austin, Texas to do this ceremony. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Was ayahuasca?
It was kind of that, mushroom stuff.
Gotcha.
And I didn't really understand what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I just trusted that I needed to do it to earn some respect. And it would be a great opportunity for me to hang with my kids.
Respect from the kids?
Respect from my kids.
Gotcha.
Okay. One of the biggest things I think parents struggle with is once they start being disrespected by their kids, they separate themselves from their kids. And they don't have as much communication.
How so?
Well, I think majority of people out there are that way.
Yeah.
You know, they don't talk to their kids every day.
That's crazy.
They talk to their kids every couple of weeks, maybe sometimes once a month.
Yes, yeah. When I grew up, that's kind of how it was with my dad and I think about. Not with my kids. I'm always talking to my kids though, I guess.
Well, you're not normal.
Yeah.
But most normal people don't talk to the kids every day because their kids don't want to have anything to do with them on that frequency of basis. So
Makes sense.
at the end of the day, just to kind of finish the ceremony thing.
Yes, yeah.
I had three intentions for that ceremony. The shaman asked you to what your intentions are. My intentions were my identity moving forward, my purpose moving forward, and prosperity. And I'm in the middle of the ceremony, and I'm having this conversation, I believe, with God about, what is it? Who am I? What am I supposed to do? And why can't I do more, get more? And then all of a sudden I saw my wife crying, and it looked like she was in church. And so I gave her a hug and said, everything's good, everything's okay. Then I looked over my kids, and they were doing the same. Then I looked over in the casket, and my body was in that casket. So I opened my eyes really quickly because I was a little bit shocked, and noticed that I could see the ceiling because I was laying down. So I wasn't dead. So I'm like, okay, this is really cool stuff. So I closed my eyes, and basically the answers that came forth were, your identity is you're getting a second leash on life. You can be whoever you want to be. Be everything you wanted to be, and don't hold yourself back, because we all have a tendency to be less than our full potential. And then my purpose was to live out of my heart and not out of my head, and speak truth instead of maybe out of my ego and protecting my image. And then prosperity, the answer there was, you got everything you need. What else you need?
Yeah, that's big, man. 'Cause I think a lot of us never have the realizations. I fully, hardly agree with that. Like, I know you can have moments in life where you finally just snap and wake up and like, okay, I can do more, and there's more to me. I had those moments, it's part of my own personal journey, right? But I do know that the journey to here is difficult, right? Because now you have to go back, and while it's good in this, we'll call it a tent with a bunch of, mushrooms and stuff, you got to go back to your life.
Absolutely.
And then you have to redo things, and the journey is it's hard fought. Not something I think it's hard fought. What was that like for you? Because you had to come home and assess yourself, and then you got these awareness points. And to be honest, I think you can get awareness not from just shrooms, but like maybe the person across your house be like, hey, you're doing this, and like they can give you some insight, but we shut it off. You essentially saw this, accepted it, and then had to move. So what was that kind of process like, moving forward with it all?
It was painful because I came back and introduced myself to my wife as Craig 2.0. And she was going to obviously hold me to being the second better version of me.
Your wife is dope like that.
She's going to let me get away with it. So I started doing breath work in the mornings, and I started doing cold plunging. And I'm not really a fan of cold plunging.
Why'd you choose those?
Because they're hard.
Because
they're hard. And breath work, I did it for 6 weeks before I even got anything out of it. I just did it on faith. And I did it consistently, where now breath work, I get downloads, I get clarity of vision. There's a lot of positive benefits in doing breath work. I get more energy. And then the cold plunging has almost split my mind and my body into two parts. And I know you do cold plunging. They were always connected.
Yeah.
And when my body said it was hot, I'm looking for AC or water or whatever it is. When it was cold, I'm looking for something else. So now I've separated those two functions so that my mind can control my body.
Yeah.
And I can get my body to do, just like this morning I worked out, I got tired, I didn't want to keep going. My mind's like, you're going to finish this. You're going to finish it. You're just going to do it. And I did.
I like this idea because for a lot of it's just a mental, like we'll call it the mindset and identity of when I hear like most athletes talk, right? This is kind of how I was, I guess I was pushed through it all because you're doing the game, like it hurts. Okay, you're just going to keep playing. What do you mean? You take a break and for you to say I didn't play, at a high level, but to have that, it's almost like individuals who look at like the, this thick athletic mindset things, you have to do athletics to get that. It's like, no, you have to subject yourself to something that is, we'll call it as difficult as them. You could also gain access to the same mentality. Do you find yourself having like a better mentality in that direction than you used to have now?
I think it's, I think one of the things that I tell people, and I believe it's true because I've experienced it, you change one thing in your life today, everything changes. You change one perspective in your mind, everything changes. And when you walk into a room, let's say it's a boardroom or whatever it might be, and there's 20 people in there, you change, everything changes because you've changed. And so I think when you have that kind of mindset, I am now looking for hard things to do.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for convenient, comfort, all those things that I was.
Yeah, I like that. We're going to circle back on this. We're going to take a moment real quick to hear from our sponsors so that you can continue to keep getting these amazing episodes as they come through. We'll be right back.
Where are you falling short of your full potential in life, and what is it costing you? See, one thing we rarely measure is the cost of our inaction. See, there's so many things set for your life that if you don't lean in and get them done, they're going to pass you by. And the truth is, it's not because you don't know what to do. It's because you are not at the level to do it. You cannot attain or sustain a vision for your life above your current identity. But what is your current identity? What should you do to make a shift in that identity? Well, the goal is you have to do the dark work, but the right dark work. To figure out where your identity is now and what dark work you must do, go to darkworkassessment.com, take the assessment, and let it clear the path for you so you can find out how to shift into your dominator's identity with a mentality of, I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. darkworkassessment.com, figure out where you're at. Let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're back with Craig. We're going to hop right back into this. So we were talking previously about the hard things you're doing. And obviously for me, the dark work conceptually is about doing the hard work for the purpose of kind of what you're saying, actually. It's just because it's hard, right? But most people don't get the logic behind that. What do you think has been the greatest benefits outside of, we'll call it the body separating the mind? Have you seen your ability to borrow that confidence or borrow that power applied somewhere else to be beneficial to you from simply just it being hard?
Oh, no question. I think it's very similar to athletics. If you can gain a hard work ethic in the weight room, it transfers to the grass. It transfers to the field.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's changed everything. It's changed my ability to have hard conversations with my kids, hard conversations in business.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to avoid hard conversations.
Most do.
And hope it just kind of fixes itself.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of gets
They'll figure
better.
it out.
Yeah. I think it's helped me with my discipline with respect to body care, in terms of my diet, my workouts, things like that. I think it's changed everything. Yeah. It's changed my relationship with my wife.
Yeah.
I think she trusts me more and respects me more.
What are some of the, because these are all things that I know, like it show up differently, right? And it's hard to, I know we can't pinpoint the exact area, but was there like a spot when like it got dark? Meaning for me, like, so my moments of dark, like I legitimately, I was like at one point suicidal, like I don't want to be here on this planet. Like life after football, didn't know what to do with it. Marriage fell apart, like, all the craziness there. And there's even times when, I'd gotten through some stuff and I was in a better position. I'm like, why? It's never going to be as good as football. And I had to battle a lot of like internal demons. And it's ugly too. The conversation I gotta have is ugly. The ownership I have to have is ugly. Do you recall any moments that we'll say were like the dark? Maybe ones you don't even like really like to share too much, because I find that those are the ones that people benefit from the most. Because the journey of what you're talking about sounds good, But I know there's little sticking points in there that were like, yeah, I went to bed that night, I couldn't sleep. Like anything that pops in mind?
Well, I think that depending on how you look at the timeline, I can revisit times where, like, I would take my boys on road trips to NFL stadiums, and I took one of my kids to the Cowboys game, and I had the star running back on the team. And the next morning, we're at his place, and I'm talking to his mom at the kitchen table about his tax planning and a variety of different things.
Yeah.
And one of my boys is on the living room floor playing Madden with the player he's playing against in the game.
Yeah.
And literally 3 days later, he fired me.
Dang.
And I'm like, in the NFL business, guys can fire you for no reason.
How'd that call go?
First it was a fax. And then I sent, and that was back in the day when they had faxes. I don't think we have them anymore.
Yeah.
But I call him up and I go, hey man, he's passed away now. So his name was Marion Barber. So I call Marion and I say, hey, MB3, what's going on? He goes, oh bro, it's just business. T.O. hooked me up with his guy. He's giving me some stuff. I have to do it. And I'm like, bro, can you give me some stuff too? I mean, it's like, it was just stupid. It's like, it was very fickle. But that wasn't the painful part. The painful part was, how do I tell my kids who idolize these guys, that just hung out with them and probably showed up at school? That was a Sunday night game. So we're kicking it in Dallas on Monday morning. My boy's at school on Tuesday morning, probably telling his friends, hey, you wouldn't believe who I played Madden with yesterday morning.
Yeah, at their house.
At their house,
Yeah.
right? It took me 2 months to tell my boys that I actually was terminated by that client.
Yeah.
Because I was so embarrassed, and I knew that they would think I did something wrong, which I didn't. And when I did tell them, they thought I did something wrong.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And so I would probably think the same thing, like,
How
hey,
old were they? What age were they around this time?
probably 9 or 10.
Okay, so conscious, aware a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
That's gotta suck.
So here's one of the funny things about being in the representation business. Your success is mirrored with your client's success. If you get a high draft pick, it reflects positively on you. If you've got a guy that's balling in the Super Bowl, everybody thinks you're cool. So my cool factor was really predicated upon who I had. And then when I would go to NFL functions like Combine, Pro Day, things like that, first word out of a scout or GM's mouth is who you got.
Yeah.
It wasn't how you doing, man.
Yeah.
It's who you got. And then I would go to family reunions, and same thing. Be like, hey, who you got this year? I'm from near Kansas City, and at one point in time I had 4 starting DBs for the Chiefs, and now they're winning the Super Bowls. I don't have anybody, but it's like, who you got? You got any Chiefs? No, I don't got any Chiefs. So the thing that I realized is that my success was really in the shade of my client's success. And you can start over a period of years and a period of time realize that your dreams, you don't have any dreams. Your dreams are for your clients to achieve their dreams, right?
Yeah.
That's an empty feeling.
I was gonna say, how does that feel? Yeah, it can't feel great and fulfilling, because you got visions and aspirations and dreams. You're kind of like a leaf in the wind somewhat then too.
Absolutely.
You find yourself, because their success, what it is, you find yourself like bending over in directions and like not like that, like bending backwards or contorting maybe integrity or certain things. You're like, I don't like that to do that just to make the guy happy.
I don't think you have a choice sometimes in the industry but to allow whatever's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I could share stories, but I'd incriminate people, so I'm not going to. But it's like, it's already been done. Yeah. And you're notified about it, and you can't do anything about it, and it wasn't probably the right thing to do, and you just got to let it go.
Yeah.
But I never intentionally told somebody to do something that would have been off path, because it comes back to bite you in the butt.
No, I agree. I think you're intelligent enough to know. I've always known you to be of a high integrity, and I know what you're talking about in the sense that there's just some weird things. I've had guys, like when I did my combine prep training for a little bit, I'd have agents come over to my house and go, I need you to give this to my guy, and give me a handful of like pills. And I go, what is this? And I don't know, somebody gave it to me. And then I go ask my guy, he's like, oh, it's just steroids. So like he came to me to give his guy roids so that at the end of the day it would be on me. Like just dirty business, man. Then some guys would stiff me. I had one guy who sent me 2 athletes, 6 weeks of training. every week, I'm gonna get you next week. Next week, 5th week comes, I'm like, I'm not gonna train the guys unless you pay. He's like, well, you talk about your money. And then he had them removed. Never paid the bill. I had to cover the hotel, their food, like all that, just stuck it all on me. So people do some dirty things. Low integrity, not that that's obviously anything you've done, but it does get wonky. But I realize that I'm like, that guy, for him to do that, there's a part of him that's dark. Like for you to do it to another man that's trying to feed his family and do his thing and help out, there's part of me that goes like, how'd you get to that level? Almost like a sense of compassion for his darkness. Like it's just weird, I guess, the way I look at it. I give myself a little bit peace now by looking at it that way, as opposed to being like, if I find this guy in a dark alley, I'm gonna punch him in the face, you know? I just don't do that. What do you think from those experiences, because I'm sure part of that had to like move itself into the flow to where we get to this plant ceremony, and maybe it's just been stockpiled and kind of, we'll call it cluttered up. Did you find yourself in a place going, a moment shifted you out of that? Now maybe it was this plant ceremony moment, or was there something else you faced that was dark and hard like that made you go, I gotta change and shift out of it?
That was it. That was it. That's when I realized that when I help people today rewrite their stories. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, I mean, you were a trainer after playing. Yeah. You probably used running parachutes at some point in time for speed training.
Mm-hmm. Sleds, yeah.
Most people are still running around their life with a parachute on. That's holding them back. Yeah. And they haven't let go of the parachute. And I would say that the ceremony helped me realize I could cut loose that parachute. Yeah. And I could rewrite my story, and I didn't have to be defined by the worst thing I've ever done or the worst thing I've ever thought or my past. I could be defined by what I do today.
Mm-hmm. I like that, man. So how does somebody cut the parachute off, man? It sounds good, right? It's like, it's obviously like that's a thing, and I know that based on what I'm hearing from you, you cut your parachute off, but it was hard fought. Definitely some things I probably like had some hard conversations with your kids, with your wife, right? Because I'm sure along the journey of you being Craig 2.0, Craig 1.9 kind of showed up a little bit at some points.
Oh, absolutely.
How'd you chop the parachute off? Like, what are some of those moments you face where you're like, gosh, I want to maybe revert back to the old guy, but I can't do that this time?
Well, I think sometimes you have to answer a question with the end result first. And I would say that when you're around somebody that used to piss you off, somebody that would cause you to feel angry and things like that, be around that person and see how you feel. If you still feel that anger, that grudge, somebody that wronged you, okay, business people that have wronged you, and you're around, the name even comes up and it makes you want to kill the guy. Yeah. You haven't cut the parachute loose.
Yeah, I got definitely one person in my life. Only one, actually, now I think about it. That's a good way to think about it, though, right? Because you're anchored to it.
But the answer to that is, so the result is you don't feel that anymore. Yeah. The question is, how do you get there? Yes. And I think the way you get there is you have to, I've done it through breath work. Okay? Where in meditation, where I have, it's really a conversation with my creator about forgiving some people, okay? That they didn't know any better, and that I was a means to an ends for them. Yeah. They really weren't after me. Like the people that stiffed you on paying for training, they weren't after you. They were trying to save some money. Yep. They were hedging their bets, so maybe the guy's not going to make it. They're not going to get their money back, so they just didn't want to pay you in the first place. Yeah. Okay. So it's that ideology that not everybody's out to get you. They're just out to get what they want, and sometimes they got to step on you on the way by. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is that you have to, in working on your story, there's a couple parts to it. One is you have to own your worth. Okay. And when you own your worth, you're not your self-worth is not the same as your net worth. So when you look at that concept, there's so many things that get us: comparison, perfection, honest assessment, desperation. These are what I call identity killers that affect your worthiness as a person. And so bottom line is you got to be aware, you got to be conscious, and you got to be honest about what are those things in your life. And then the second part of doing it is connecting to your purpose. What is your greater purpose? If you're living your purpose, you're not going to be held back by what happened in the past. You're forward-minded, you're today-minded, you're not yesterday-minded. Whereas people that are not connected to their purpose, don't know what their purpose is, they have a tendency to live in the past.
How do you find it though? That's the thing, everybody. It sounds good, right? But a lot of people have no clue what their purposeful part of life should be.
I think about this for a second. What's the average length of an NFL player's career?
Between 3 months and 3 years is what I've been told. Like 3 months if you're a guy that's just the first 93 and gets cut, right? Like 3 years-ish.
Okay, so Tom Brady started like 381 games. He screwed up the whole average, all right?
He did.
But the average is 4 NFL games.
4 games?
4 NFL games.
That's crazy.
Regular season games.
So it's like a couple months.
Yeah, but some guys now can play in the NFL for 7 years and never play in a game because they can be on practice squad, injured reserve, all those types of things.
Yeah.
They can even be on the active roster and not dress.
Yeah.
There's seven of those guys every single Sunday. They're on the active roster. They're getting a big paycheck and they're not even playing. They don't even get to put a uniform on. So the reason why I asked you that question is because I've had a lot of practice helping players make the transition from life after football.
Gotcha.
And early on, I didn't do it. I didn't help guys. I didn't see that as my responsibility. You know, I was their NFL agent, not their post-NFL.
So it's your fault that I had to go through that.
Absolutely. But in helping guys make that transition and try to make it as smooth as possible, it really is the intersection of what are they passionate about, what do they like, what are they good at, and what do they feel like God's calling them to do. And wherever that intersects, that's probably where your sweet spot is. And so for a lot of guys, it's to stay in football. It's to coach.
Yeah.
For a lot of guys, it's to go into business. The best thing is not to spend 3 or 4 years, which is what it typically takes for a lot of guys to figure out what it is.
Yeah, that was me for sure. I think it took me, well, I went into a world of fitness because it was, you know, close thing I knew. My degree was there, but it definitely took me another like 6 years to realize that I'm supposed to do something else. But I lost myself, man. It's tough because you can't get up and do the thing you used to do every day. Like it almost sounds like it's weird. Like I can't go tackle somebody, you know. So it's like, what am I good for? And that whole battle becomes something different because you've given so much to this thing that I can no longer actually give into. So it's tough.
Well, I think the hardest part for players is if they have a plan B and they start working on plan B always becomes plan A.
Yeah.
And so I've learned over the years that a guy needs to be singularly focused on ball. He can't be thinking about, like he can't spend the off season building an empire, you know, a business empire, because his football career is going to be over.
Yeah, makes sense.
So even guys like the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, they're all in on ball.
Yeah.
They hire people that handle all their money and all their investments and whatever things they're doing because they got to be ballers.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. You got to do all. I think there's you put all the, like, was it Will Smith said something about like you never have a plan B because then you don't get the attention of plan A. I don't know who it was. It's an different little quote that I've heard at some point in time. Someone talks about plan A and plan B. But it's interesting you say that because now in my life I don't have plan Bs. Like I don't know, I burn the boats, you know, kind of thing. I'm like, I'm just going full bore on these things. But then I do think that that's how you're forced to find the solution. And then the more you give into it, the more you develop that sense of self and confidence. And you do stumble, right? It's part of the journey. You stumble on stuff. But you develop this mental part that goes, I'm going to keep leaning in. And it just adds to my knowledge so I don't stumble as hard as that first time. And then you start to the point where you're not stumbling, then you're jogging, then you're sprinting, right? It's a whole different progression through. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. So in this world of what you're up to now with this pro mindset, obviously you're going into the world and you're creating these cool things. Have you been challenged currently with something that Craig 1.0 would have fallen short on?
I would say everything.
Yeah.
I would say everything because how I attack my day is different. How I develop relationships is better. How I deal with conflict is better. I'm not perfect. But it's like I'm not intimidated by the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Had a conversation this morning with somebody on business. I stood in my worth.
Yeah.
They saw it, and you know, in the past I might have just said okay, and I would have cost myself money.
Yeah.
So it's like I think like I said before, when you change one thing, you change everything. When you're doing pro mindset, it has a ripple effect. It's like that high tide rises all boats.
Yeah.
And if all boats are all aspects of your life, if you can have a mindset shift, it changes everything. Changes everything.
Yeah, well, I agree, because the way you perceive the world's different. I think even the framing of situations you run into is sometimes the issue. right? It may not be that the problem is the problem, but your framing of the problem creates a lack of even hope to accomplish an achievement or go beyond that thing or overcome. So you go, I can't do this. But if I frame it as like, all right, that exists, but I could do this, new framing, I get a different angle of attack. I can actually go and feel hopeful approaching it. So the mental part of it's a big piece of it. When you look at the people you get to work with now, and say somebody comes in and they go, man, I'm struggling with something, you can typically see the things going on. Can't always communicate it sometimes. I find like I sometimes can't communicate at the level that they need to because they won't grab it just yet. When you start going and working through people's, kind of, we'll call it flow with this, where do you find them exiting? Like we'll call it the best place they can end up going through a pro mindset process. Like, what do you see being the outcome for them?
I think it's the best outcome is they don't self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. So there's people that mistreat us and there's people that wrong us, but the more dangerous ones are the people that are fearful and doubting themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a external, internal game.
Yeah.
Everybody sees their circumstances, their challenges, other people as the enemy. The bigger enemy is what's inside your head, which is your own fears and your own doubts.
Yeah.
So what I work on is that if you can't always control your circumstances, but you can. You're 100% in control of your doubts and your fears. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, you can put yourself in a position. So when you have a big moment, you kill it.
Yeah.
When you have that job interview and you should get the job because you're more than qualified for the job, you get the job.
Yeah.
You have success when you should have success.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been in politics and you run for president, you're probably not going to win. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to be a surgeon and you never went to med school, it's going to be tough. But if it's something that you're qualified to do, you've got the skill set that's consistent with it, and you've got the passion for it, and you get out of your own way, you might just get it.
Mm-hmm. I like it. That's the whole, I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light, man.
Yes.
That's what's wrapped around. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I think we all want to show up to defining moments with, which is what you're talking to. That point in time where everything is just, it's real. It's all coming to a head. And I want to have the best be pull out, because you did today. From what I'm hearing, you sat in that call and go, no. I've done too much work to lose this, or to not get my worth in the light. And so you fight and you battle different, and all of a sudden life is different. Amazingly, right? When it's really not amazing, it's just what you've done. You have a sense of your worth, so you put it forth. If we could put that seed in people's head, man, it would be amazing. People have a whole lot more success in life. What would you, and I'm going to put this, I had a previous podcast, I debated putting this question in. But here's a question I think it's one that's good to flow into for us to kind of center back to, I guess we'll call it purpose. So the question is, what promise did God or the Creator make to the world when they created you?
That's a great question. I think that the source of my dreams are God inspired. Mm-hmm. And all of us have those. Everybody's got dreams. Some people choose to do it and some people don't. I think there's two things. One is that I need to love myself as much as the Creator loves me. Mm-hmm. He created me perfectly imperfect, and He designed you perfectly imperfect too. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to chase my dreams.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one, man. It's a good example, because I think a lot of the times we all sit in these bubbles and think like we got to do certain things a certain way or follow a dream. I have these interesting thoughts nowadays, and this may be completely off tangent, maybe it's not. But I sit back and I go, at the end of the day, really, like, life is comprised of just like moments of experience. Do I feel good? Do I feel bad? And it's devoid of anybody else. It's like, do I feel good about me sweeping the side of my house and feeling good that I did that, right? And then I can also get on stage in front of thousands and do that. But I think there is a place where I go, like, I was created to do this today in this way. And if I enjoy this, I have a good life, regardless of if I'm followed by 70 million people online, right? I think there's some kind of a twist and contortion of nowadays where, like, your sense of self-worth is rooted in things that are external from you. And when they're so external from you and it's not connected to you, what you're created for, I think it separates you from that joy for sometimes a lifetime for some people. So I love that becomes the example you are, man. So
I would add something, Anthony, and that is there's a love crisis going on. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean narcissistic love. I'm talking about just genuine love for yourself.
Yeah.
People are too judgmental about other people as well as themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I think a lot of people's joy is robbed, is they can't just love themselves.
Yep, it's tough.
Everybody wants to be taller, smarter,
Yeah.
sexier, whatever it might be. And you just have to love you for who you are.
Yeah, I agree, man. Not always easy. I think having the things
I know for you it's probably tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how to take that.
I'm messing with you.
I know. I think the things we talk to, though, here's what I've looked at. We kind of mentioned in the first episode, which is whenever you do things that are really hard, you gain respect. When you have respect, you can love. If I don't respect you, I don't have a great ability to love you, because love creates sacrifice. Like, I will sacrifice for something or someone I love. If I don't respect, some guy across the street, I don't love you. I'm not taking a bullet for you. But I think we don't flip that inwards very often and go, am I doing the things that are in line with the person I'm supposed to be, my full potential? Did I do that thing when I knew I should have and not just cut a corner? Like, when I'm supposed to be here for an hour, I'm only doing 40 minutes, right? When you get to that hour, you go, I love Craig. I respect you, Craig. I love Craig. And I show up for Craig differently, which is what happened on the phone today. So people wonder, like, how do I do better in sales? And how do I do better in my job? Do harder stuff that you know you're supposed to do without chopping it short. Then you will have that diminished sense of, like, what pride, whatever it is, removed from you, and it's fulfilled with the sense of, like, I love myself. I got this respect. You're not going to take this from me, right? And that's what people, I think, need more of. And you're a great example of how that's been done. So I appreciate that.
You might be a better example.
I'm one of the examples.
You are an example. You
Yeah.
do a great job of attacking the hard stuff.
I thank you. I've tried. It's not easy, though, man. I think over life you kind of figure out, like, that it's not always that hard, though, actually. Things that, like, there's things that look and I go, it's going to be crazy, and I don't want to do it, but then I lean in and I go, oh, that was like 20 minutes of my day. It's kind of weird, like, and we all have those things. The simplest way I can explain is like when you have an email, like, full of emails, right? It's like, oh, my email's 100 emails, like, it's going to take all day. And 30 minutes later, you're like, oh my gosh, well, I've been letting these things stockpile. I could have got it off of my head, and now I can go on to the next cool thing, not stressed. But I think we do that with life too, whether it's a relationship on the rocks. I don't want to have that phone call. I don't want to respond to this message. I don't want to have that hard conversation, right? And you do it and you go, oh, it's not that crazy. And it frees life up to be able to experience the days and the hours without that weight. And so, yeah, that's why I approach the hard stuff. But man, it's been fun chatting with you. Time flies, you're having fun.
Absolutely.
You guys who were tuned in, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Some of the things that stood out to me from our conversation, and hopefully we're taking notes on and grabbing. But I love that he has this idea of the story about your life, because realistically we all have a story that we know what it is, or we're telling ourselves a story every day, but we're not actually paying attention to how it's living out. Because if you have a story and it's running all day and you live in direction with the story, it's a bad story, your life will become more of what you're telling yourself it is, as opposed to crafting a new one, actually going through the process and going, what do I want my story to be, live differently into that. I really like the idea of the parachute, because it's simple. I think we can get it. I didn't even actually think about that until you said it, but like, yeah, I used to train with a parachute, because in fact it slows you down so you build more muscles, but if you never tear it off, you don't get to run free. So there may be a benefit to an extent of having, like, I got this resistance, but you got to cut it off at some point in time. You chop that thing, you can run free, probably faster than you know you can run. And the way he talks about doing it for Craig was to work on breath work and meditation, which I highly recommend also. The cold plunging, do it if you can. I know nowadays everybody's doing it because everybody does it, but there is a true benefit to doing it just because it's hard. And it gives you a sense of confidence to bring on to the next part of whatever your day and your life may be. Practicing forgiveness, I agree. I found over the years that my mom, who gave me away, I had a lot of anger for that. But I realized, like, she wasn't in the place to know how to take care of kids in the first place. So there's a compassion for the person who didn't have the need or have the skill set she needed to be a great mom. So can I fault her to an extent? She was doing what she needed to do to be better for herself and more selfish, as opposed to maliciously subjecting me and her kids to different stuff. So I get that. You can get that one. I promise your life will be much smoother, because I know people do craziness. And then I love this one, which is your self-worth does not equal your net worth. They're two separate things. Those are really powerful for me. So for you in the world, I would love for you to share with us what the ones that stood out to you. I don't know what they are, how they work. You might have heard something that stood out to a different idea. Share it with us. Like, literally send us a message, whether it's on social media somewhere. Myself and my team will get back to you. But I really want to know your thoughts about how you can take this and apply it to your life. Because you're going to see through the journey, there's places where he did what I call his respect to light. He saw the vision he wanted. He did the dark work. He hunkered down at multiple times in life, which is what we all have to do. And then at a point in time, he emerged and said, I want to be this better man. He did that work and created something cool, which is now Pro Mindset. So if you guys are in a position of needing that for your life, or you know someone else who is in a position of needing that, either share this episode with them, or have a conversation with them, or share Craig with them. The way they can do that, I'm going to ask you, is how can I best have people go and find the work you're doing?
ProMindset.com.
Easy peasy.
Easy.
Beautiful. It's always good when you get like the actual, you felt good when you saw that it was available, huh? You're like, I'm going to get that.
I'm going to get that, baby.
Yeah, lock it up, man. I know what it's like. So go there, ProMindset.com, check out Craig. Make sure you go into the world for yourself and do whatever you can to take a look at what you got going on. And if you want more, go after more. And the way you'll do it is by going through dark work. You do the dark work so you can win in the light. It's Anthony Trucks and Craig Domann. I'm signing off.